Welcome. Approximately 1 month ago, Julie harvested an annual crop of onions from the garden, and they've been drying for the last 30 days or so. And today I'm going to start cooking with them. Actually, I thought that bearing in mind this is one of the most humble and versatile ingredients that we can have in the kitchen, I thought I'd do a little mini series where I'm going to celebrate the humble onion. So I will be doing 5 different dishes, all onion based, very simple, and only a few ingredients. And today I'll start with a very simple onion soup, and the next recipe will be onion pasta, followed by sweet and sour onion. Then I will also be making an onion frittata at some point. And another recipe I've got in mind is stuffed onion. Mine are all red, that's what Julie's giving me. But of course you can use any onions to follow any of the recipes. So let's make this nice soup. And I'll start by making a vegetables stock. Now you can use, of course, a vegetable stock cube if you wish. But if you've got the opportunity to make your own vegetable stock, I would recommend it because obviously you know what you're putting in and it's a little bit healthier. And also I'm not going to add any salt. And it's very simple. You just saw me putting an onion. Actually, I'm going to break it in half. I've chopped a little carrot. I'm just going to wash my celery. Of course, I'd washed the carrot before. And this is my third ingredient. And here I've got a bay leaf. If you got a bay leaf, great, as it will provide an elegant flavor to your vegetable stock. If you don't worry. And I'll top it up with some cold water, 1 liter of cold water, and I'll turn this on. Temperature is on maximum. I'll place the lid on, and as soon as it starts boiling, I'll turn the temperature on medium so that it simmers nicely, and that'll be 10 to 15 minutes before my stock is ready. I've not added any salt. I'll salt everything together later. And I started cleaning my onions. I want altogether 500 grams once cleaned. So I'm just going through. Mine are homegrown, of course, so there's a little bit more to clean. But of course, if you were to use supermarkets onion, you are unlikely to get things like this. I'm now slicing them very thinly so that they cook evenly. But I'm not making them identical because this is home cooking after all. However, you do not need to chop them in half. Just go gently with a knife and cut them whole, as I'm doing right now, in little slices. Of course mine are smaller onions, but if you've got large monster onions, by all means chop them in half first and then just do the same as I'm doing right now. New saucepan, I'm adding some olive oil, and medium to low is the level of heat I want. And I'm going to start by adding all of my chopped onions in the first instance. And now it looks like there is a lot there. Don't worry, they will shrink. But the first thing to do is to ensure that I'll go in and mix them all together so that the olive oil is distributed across all of the onions. So I'll leave it on the hob. I'll place the lid on, and I'll leave them for 5 minutes, not touching them. Actually, no, I do need to do something. I want to add a little salt, as this at the moment is to ensure that they start sweating and release their juices. The purpose here is to soften them up gently so that they do not brown and they start cooking slowly. So 5 minutes. And while I wait, large clove of garlic. This time I'm going to clean it, so I'll remove the peel, and I'm making some very small little slices, about 1 millimeter. 5 minutes in, let's take a look. You can see that they are beginning to sweat nicely, so just a quick turn with a spoon, and lid goes back on, and I leave them for another 5 minutes. Okay, so 10 minutes on. You can see that they've shrunk considerably, and if I just move them, there is a beautiful glossiness about them. Right, next job is to have patience. So I'm going to leave them still on a medium to low setting temperature wise for another 15 to 20 minutes. During this time, and that is actually the critical part of this soup, because onions are sharp. During this time the moisture will evaporate and they will release the natural sweetness, and they will turn from sharp to mellow, and also they will soften up. So about 15 minutes should be enough for the quantities I've done. So I'll see you then. I should have added occasionally go in every 3 to 4 minutes and give them a gentle turn so that they cook evenly. Not a problem in my case, but if you find that they are a little bit too dry or they get caught at the bottom, just add a little amount of water, no more than a tablespoon, and continue. So 3 to 4 minutes. In the meantime, I'm making some croutons, so I can actually use the air fryer or I can use the oven, but bear in mind I'm on the hobby. I decided to use a pan, and I'm going to share with you what I'm making. So I've got some slices of bread which I'm chopping in little cubes, about 1 to 2 centimeters, entirely up to you. Depends how much you like croutons and how big you like them to be. So just cut them with your knife. Frying pan is ready. I'm going to move them in. And whilst the heat is still off, I'm going to add some olive oil. I'll mix it together with the oil so that again they cook evenly, and I'll turn this on, and I'll start on a high setting, and I'll turn them down in about 30 seconds so that they get going. I'll turn the temperature slightly down, but still on a medium high, as I want them to roast, of course. You can see that they're beginning to roast quite nicely. So occasionally I'll go in and I'll give them a little turn, and they will take altogether approximately 10 minutes. Likewise, if you want to use the air fryer, you can do the same. Place them or the oven, the indoor oven, if you are brave enough to turn it on with this heat, and 180 degrees in an oven tray. Place them in for 5 minutes, give them a little shake, another 5 minutes, and then they will be ready. In the meantime, let's take another look over here. Ooh, they're beginning to look really nice. See, look, they're perfect, and I've not added any liquid. And I have to say, the smell coming up at the moment is just the natural sweetness of the onions. Absolutely beautiful. I'm there with my bread, so I'll turn it off. And I like to, once they are cooked, to add some chopped rosemary, followed by some pepper, also a tiny little amount of salt, tiny because of what is coming next, which is my little touch, a little grana or parmigiano if you like, and that will go really nice with my homemade croutons. So that goes in. I'll just give them one final shake, and these are ready for later. Time to return to my onions. Here they are. So this is what you're looking for. Right, the first job is to add my chopped garlic, and I'm only adding it now because the garlic cooks considerably faster than onions. I'm going to turn the temperature up slightly as I want the garlic to start releasing flavor, and I didn't want to burn it, so I think to add it now is better, as it will release more flavor. And here I've also got some thyme, so I'm gonna get a little pinch, about half a teaspoon, and I add it in, and I'll leave, maybe it's a little bit too high, let's not get carried away. I'll leave them to now gently cook for about 30 seconds to 1 minute, and now for the garlic to release some of its flavor, and of course the time to do the same. Now here is a little tip. Before you add all of your stock, just go ahead and move about 3 spoons in with the onions and mix it together. What that does effectively helps releasing any of the onions which might go stuck to the bottom, and that gives you that opportunity to make sure that that beautiful crust is released with the rest of the onions. But actually mine was pretty good. Second bay leaf goes in. This time this is for the onions, and I've got here a little strainer which I find it very useful, as I do not want the carrots, the onions and the bay leaf from before, so that enabled me to do it very, very neatly. And that, as I said to you, was 1 liter of stock. I'll turn the temperature up and I'll wait until this reaches the boil now. There it is. I'm going to turn it down, as I do not want to go mad either. And I'm now going to add a little bit more salt. The first lot of salt was to ensure that the onions sweated the water. This is for flavor, but again not a lot, and I'll leave pepper for later, as this is going to cook now for a further 20 minutes. So ensure that you got a nice hot temperature, but not mad. And I'm going to place the lid on. Oops, wrong lid, here, this one here. And I'll leave my spoon ajar like this, so that it will continue cooking. Some of the water will evaporate and it will infuse now with the stock. So it's in about 20 minutes. Remember to take your time. This is one of those very simple recipes where only a few ingredients, and the trick really is patience. And if you treat it with respect, and what I mean by respect, by giving it time, it will actually give you back some amazing flavor. I'm moving some onions now into a jug over here. You can actually skip this if you like. If you want a very rustic finish, you do not have to do this. But I like to have a little bit of smoothness in mine. So I'm moving approximately a third of the amount of onions, and some of the broth also. And I'm gonna blend it. As I said, if you like, you can add less, you can add more, or just leave as it is. And in it goes again. And I'm turning the temperature up slightly so that, there you go, start boiling once again, not too aggressively, and I'll leave it for a further 3 minutes. And everything is ready. So I'll do my portion, and as usual, I'll start by just picking mostly solids first, and I will make sure that I don't end up swimming in some of the stock, so that's plenty. And I'll just add a little bit more over here. I had a cheeky little taste for salt, and I know that it needs a little bit more, but as I said, you can always add it at the end. And now I can add pepper, and actually here I like to be fairly generous with my pepper, so I can add it for the first time, and that will release all of its flavor. And I'm going to add a little Parmesan cheese. If you're vegan, you can skip it, or you can add some Parmesan vegan style, if you know what I mean. Most probably you know exactly what you want, if that is the case, better than I. But a little Parmesan cheese goes really, really nice here. And I'll finish with a little touch of olive oil at the very, very top. Again, not a lot, because this is not about oh, my olive oil is nearly empty. It's not about the oil, it's about the onions, of course. And it is ready. All I've got here to do is to put some of my croutons ready to tuck in. So today was all about the soup. Next episode I'll go in a completely different directions, where onions of course are the star of the show, but I will be using them to make a sauce, and I'll make some pasta. But let's try this first. Oh, the sweetness of the onions is unbelievable, and I didn't add any sugar. They are so delicious, and if you've never made anything like it, try and let me know how you get on. It looks brown because obviously the onions are red. If you were to use white or blonde color onions, obviously you will have a clearer color, but they're delicious. See you next time. Ciao, ciao.